Dr. Alex Thompson had been working in Antarctica for 3 long years. The cold wind cut through his jacket every morning as he walked to the research station. Most people thought his job was boring, studying ice samples and looking for ancient bacteria. But Alex loved it. There was something magical about finding life that had been frozen for thousands of years. The research station was small, with only 12 people living there. They were like a family now. Every morning, they would gather for coffee and plan their day. Alex was the team leader for biological research, which meant he got to decide where they would dig next. On a Tuesday morning in March, something strange happened. Alex was looking at satellite images on his computer when he noticed an unusual shape deep under the ice. It looked different from everything else they had seen before. The ice scanner showed something metallic, buried almost 2 miles down. "Hey everyone, come look at this," Alex called to his team. 3 other scientists gathered around his computer screen. The shape was huge, much bigger than any research equipment that might have been lost in the ice. Dr. Lisa Park, the team's engineer, pointed at the screen. "That doesn't look natural. See how smooth the edges are? And look at this part here, it's perfectly round." Alex felt his heart beating faster. In 3 years of ice research, he had never seen anything like this. The object was clearly made by someone, but who could have built something this big and left it buried in Antarctica? The team spent the next week preparing for the biggest dig of their lives. They needed special equipment to melt through to miles of ice safely. The government had to approve everything because they were working in protected territory. When permission finally came through, Alex couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what they might find. Was it an old submarine? No. Maybe some kind of research station from decades ago? The possibilities kept his mind racing all night. The digging process took 2 months. Every day they used heated drills to melt deeper into the ice. The work was hard and dangerous. One wrong move could cause the ice to collapse and bury them all. But Alex and his team were careful. They had done this kind of work before, just never this deep. As they got closer to the object, strange things started happening. Their electronic equipment began acting weird. Compasses spun wildly. Radio signals got fuzzy. Some of the team members complained about having strange dreams. Alex wrote everything down in his research journal. As a scientist, he knew that documenting everything was important. Even the weird stuff might be useful later. Finally, on a cold morning in May, they broke through the last layer of ice. What they found took their breath away. It wasn't a submarine or a research station. It was something that shouldn't exist on Earth. The object was clearly a vehicle of some kind, but unlike anything humans had ever built. Its surface was smooth and silver, made from a material that none of them recognized. Strange symbols were carved into its sides, definitely not from any human language. "This is impossible," whispered Tom Chen, the team's geologist. "How long has this been here?" Alex used a special dating tool on the ice around the vehicle. The results showed that it had been frozen for at least 10,000 years. That was long before humans had developed any advanced technology. The vehicle had a door, but it was sealed shut. After hours of careful examination, they found what looked like a control panel. Lisa managed to figure out how to open it using simple pressure points. The door slid open with a soft hissing sound. Inside, the vehicle was even more amazing. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to come from the material itself. Strange chairs were arranged around what looked like control panels, with symbols that moved and changed, but the most shocking discovery was in the back section of the vehicle. 2 creatures were lying in what looked like glass containers. They appeared to be sleeping, but their bodies were perfectly preserved. They looked almost human, but there were clear differences. Their skin had a slight blue tint, and their eyes were larger than human eyes. They had long, flowing hair that seemed to shimmer even in the dim light. Most unusual of all, they were connected by a chain made from the same silver material as the vehicle. Alex stared at them for a long time. These beings were clearly not from Earth, but they looked peaceful, almost like they were just sleeping. Their faces showed intelligence and kindness. The team set up a temporary research station right next to the vehicle. They needed to study everything carefully before moving anything. Alex spent days examining the sleeping beings, trying to understand what they were and where they came from. The chain connecting them was the most puzzling part. It wasn't just a simple chain. It had complex patterns and seemed to pulse with energy. Alex suspected it was keeping them alive somehow. Over the following weeks, Alex became fascinated with these mysterious visitors. He spent every waking hour studying them, learning about their technology, and trying to understand their purpose. Who were they? Why had they come to Earth? Most importantly, were they still alive after all these thousands of years? Alex continued his research. He began to feel a strange connection to these beings. They seemed so peaceful, so advanced. He found himself talking to them as he worked, even though they couldn't hear him. Something deep inside told him that finding them wasn't just lucky, it was meant to happen. The discovery would change everything, not just for Alex and his team, but for all of humanity. This was the moment that would prove we were not alone in the universe. But Alex had no idea that his life was about to become much more complicated than he ever imagined. 6 months had passed since Alex and his team found the alien vehicle. Every single day, Alex worked to understand the mysterious beings sleeping in their glass containers. He had tried everything he could think of, but nothing seemed to wake them up. The government had sent more scientists to help. The small research station in Antarctica was now a busy place with 25 people working around the clock. Security guards watched everything, and Alex had to ask permission for almost every test he wanted to do. Alex spent most of his time studying the silver chain that connected the two beings. He was convinced it was the key to everything. The chain wasn't just decoration, it was actually keeping them alive. Tiny lights moved through it like blood flowing through veins. When Alex touched it gently, he could feel a slight vibration, like a heartbeat. Dr. Rachel Kim, a new scientist, who specialized in alien technology, joined Alex's team. She was brilliant and brought fresh ideas. Together they discovered that the chain was powered by some kind of energy source they didn't understand. It was creating a perfect environment inside the glass containers, keeping the beings healthy. After thousands of years, "Look at this," Rachel said one morning, pointing at her computer screen. "The energy patterns in the chain change every few hours. It's like it's following some kind of schedule." Alex studied the patterns carefully. After weeks of observation, he realized the energy followed a 26-hour cycle close to Earth's day, but slightly different. Maybe this was how long a day lasted on their home planet. The breakthrough came on a rainy Tuesday evening. Alex was working alone in the lab, feeling frustrated after another failed attempt to communicate with the sleeping beings. He was about to give up for the night when something amazing happened. As he was taking notes, he accidentally knocked over his coffee cup. The hot coffee spilled onto the control panel next to the containers. Instead of causing damage, the liquid seemed to activate something. The symbols on the panel started glowing brighter, and the chain began pulsing with new energy. Alex watched in wonder as the glass containers slowly opened with a soft hissing sound. After 6 months of trying everything, it was a simple accident that finally worked. The two beings began to move slowly, like people waking up from a very long sleep. Alex's heart was pounding so hard he thought it might burst. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries, first contact with alien life. The first being to open her eyes was tall and graceful, with long silver hair that seemed to glow in the lab's lighting. Alex decided to call her Zara in his notes. The second being had darker hair with blue highlights and seemed slightly younger. He named her Lyra. Both beings looked around the lab with curiosity rather than fear. When they saw Alex, they didn't seem surprised. Instead, they smiled gently, as if they had been expecting to meet him. Zara spoke first, but the sounds she made were unlike any human language. It was musical and flowing like water running over stones. Alex couldn't understand the words, but somehow he could sense that she was trying to be friendly. Alex pointed to himself and said slowly, "Alex." Then he pointed to them with a questioning look. Zara seemed to understand immediately. She placed her hand on her chest and made a sound that Alex wrote down as Zara. Then she gestured to her companion, who said something that sounded like Lyra. Over the next few days, Alex worked with both beings to create a simple way to communicate. Yes. They were incredibly smart and learned English words quickly. Meanwhile, Alex tried to learn some of their language, though it was much harder for him. As communication improved, Alex learned amazing things about his new friends. They came from a planet called Kythera, which was much older than Earth. Their people had been traveling between stars for thousands of years, exploring and learning about different worlds. Zara and Lyra had been sent to Earth as explorers and peacekeepers. Their mission was to study young civilizations and help them if they seemed ready for advanced knowledge. But their ship had been damaged by a massive solar storm, forcing them to make an emergency landing on Earth. The chain that connected them wasn't just keeping them alive. It was a sacred bond from their culture. They were sisters, not by blood, but by choice. Their people believed that some individuals were meant to share their life energy with each other, making them both stronger and wiser. "We cannot be separated," Lyra explained in her careful English. "The chain shares our life. Force, if broken, we both become very weak, maybe die." Alex also discovered that Zara and Lyra had incredible abilities. They could speak to each other without words, using only their thoughts. They understood science and mathematics far beyond human knowledge. Most amazing of all, they could heal injuries by simply touching them. But there was a problem. The chain that gave them these abilities also limited them. While connected, they couldn't use their full power. They were like powerful computers running on low battery. "Our people will come looking for us," Zara told Alex one day. "But it may take many of your years. You must wait and help your people learn." As word spread about the awakened aliens, more government officials arrived at the research station. Alex could see that they were very interested in what Zara and Lyra might teach humanity. Some of the officials asked questions that made Alex uncomfortable. "What weapons do your people have?" one military officer asked during a meeting. Zara looked sad when she heard this question. "We do not make weapons," she said simply. "Make life better." Alex began to worry about his alien friends. The government people seemed more interested in what they could gain than in treating Zara and Lyra with respect. He could see that difficult decisions were coming, and he wasn't sure he would like what the officials had planned. Every night, Alex would sit with Zara and Lyra. Earth. They became more than research subjects to him. They became friends. He started to feel protective of them, like a big brother watching over his sisters. But Alex had no idea that his loyalty to his new friends was about to be tested in ways he never imagined. 3 weeks after Zara and Lyra woke up, Alex received a message that made his stomach drop. The head of the research program wanted to see him immediately in the main conference room. This was never good news. Alex walked slowly to the meeting, his mind racing with worry. He had noticed more government officials arriving at the base recently. Men and women in expensive suits who asked too many questions and took notes about everything Zara and Lyra said or did. When Alex entered the conference room, he was shocked by how many people were there. Military officers, government scientists, and several people he didn't recognize sat around a large table. At the head of the table sat Director James Wilson, the man who controlled their entire research project. "Please sit down, Alex," Director Wilson said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We need to discuss the future of our alien friends." Alex sat down carefully, feeling like he was walking into a trap. He had been working with Zara and Lyra every day, and he knew they trusted him completely. Whatever these people wanted, Alex was sure it wouldn't be good for his alien friends. "First, let me congratulate you," said General Patricia Hayes, a stern woman with gray hair. "Your work with the aliens has been remarkable. You've achieved communication that we thought might take years to develop." "Thank you," Alex replied, but he could hear the but coming. "However," continued the general, "we have some concerns about the current arrangement. Having both aliens together limits our ability to learn from them efficiently." Alex felt his heart start beating faster. "What do you mean?" Director Wilson leaned forward. "We want to separate them, Alex. We believe we can learn twice as much if we study them individually. One alien could work with your team on biological research, while the other could help our technology division understand their advanced science." "You can't separate them," Alex said quickly. "The chain that connects them is keeping them alive. If you break it, you could kill them both." A woman in a business suit opened a thick folder. "Our experts have studied the chain extensively. We believe we can safely remove it with the right equipment. The aliens might be weak for a while, but they should survive." Alex stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "Should survive? These are living beings, not laboratory equipment. We're talking about breaking a sacred bond from their culture." "Sit down, Alex," Director Wilson said firmly. "We understand your emotional attachment to the subjects, but we need to think about what's best for humanity." Alex remained standing, his hands shaking with anger. What's best for humanity is treating them with respect. They came here as explorers and peacekeepers. They've been nothing but helpful and kind. General Hayes exchanged a look with Director Wilson. "That brings us to our next point. We're prepared to offer you something special, Alex. A reward for your excellent work." "I don't want a reward," Alex said. "Just want to continue my research with both of them." "Hear us out," said the woman with the folder. "We're going to build 2 new research facilities. One will focus on biological studies and the other on technology research. You get to choose which alien you want to work with." Alex stared at them in disbelief. "You're asking me to choose between them? Think of it as choosing your research partner," Director Wilson said smoothly. "You'll have a beautiful new laboratory, unlimited funding, and the chance to work one-on-one with advanced alien intelligence. Most scientists would call this the opportunity of a lifetime." "And what happens to the one I don't choose?" Alex asked, though he already knew he wouldn't like the answer. General Hayes answered without emotion. "The other alien will be transferred to a military research facility where our best scientists will study their technology and defensive capabilities." Alex felt sick to his stomach. He could picture Zara or Lyra alone in some cold military lab, being treated like an object instead of a person. The thought made him want to scream. "This is wrong," Alex said quietly. "They're not prizes to be handed out. They're intelligent beings with feelings and rights." "They're aliens," Alex the general said firmly. "Our first responsibility is to protect Earth and advance human civilization. These beings could help us solve every major problem we face: disease, energy, climate change, even space travel." "They want to help," Alex protested. "But they'll only share their knowledge if they're treated with respect and allowed to stay together." The woman with the folder smiled coldly. "That's where you come in, Alex. Whichever alien you choose will trust you. You can convince them to cooperate with our research." Alex realized this wasn't really about giving him a choice. It was about making him responsible for breaking up Zara and Lyra. If he chose one, he would be the one separating them. If he refused to choose, they would probably separate them anyway and remove him from the project entirely. "How long do I have to decide?" Alex asked, playing for time. 72 hours, Director Wilson said. "We've already begun construction on both facilities. I need your answer by Friday so we can finalize the arrangements." As Alex left the meeting, his head was spinning. He walked slowly back to the lab where Zara and Lyra were waiting. They looked up at him with their kind, trusting eyes, and Alex felt like the worst person in the world. "You look troubled, friend Alex," Zara said gently. "What has happened?" Alex sat down heavily in his chair. He couldn't lie to them, but he also couldn't bear to tell them what the government wanted to do. How could he explain that the people he worked for wanted to tear them apart for the sake of scientific progress? "There are some people who want to change our research arrangement," Alex said carefully. Lyra tilted her head, studying his face. They want to separate us, she said. It wasn't a question. Alex looked at her in surprise. How'd you know? We have seen this before on other worlds, Zara explained sadly. Young civilizations often think they can learn more by taking things apart than by understanding them. As a whole, what did those other civilizations learn? Alex asked. Lyra's eyes filled with sadness. They learned that some things, once broken, can never be repaired. Alex spent the next 2 days agonizing over his decision. And couldn't eat. The weight of choosing between his two friends was crushing him. Every time he looked at Zara and Lyra, he saw their unbreakable bond and their quiet trust in him. On Thursday night, as the deadline approached, Alex made a decision that would change everything. He wasn't going to choose between them. He was going to find a way to save them both, even if it meant risking his career, and maybe even his freedom. But first, he needed a plan. Friday morning came too quickly. Alex hadn't slept all night, but his mind was clearer than it had been in days. He knew exactly what he was going to do, even though it scared him more than anything he had ever done before. At exactly 9 o'clock, Alex walked into the conference room where Director Wilson and the other officials were waiting. The same people from 3 days ago sat around the table, all watching him with curious eyes. They expected him to choose one alien over the other, but Alex had a different plan. "Good morning, Alex," Director Wilson said with fake friendliness. "I hope you've had time to make your decision. Which research facility would you prefer to work with?" Alex stood straight and looked directly at the director. "I've made my decision, but it's not the one you're expecting." General Hayes raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "I refuse to choose between Zara and Lyra," Alex said clearly. "I want both of them placed under my care, together, as a team." The room fell completely silent. Several officials exchanged shocked looks. Director Wilson's fake smile disappeared completely. "That's not one of the options, Alex," the director said slowly. "We explained the situation very clearly. You need to choose one alien for your research partner." "No, I don't," Alex replied firmly. "I'm proposing a better solution. Instead of breaking them apart and possibly killing them, we create a single research facility where they can work together. They'll be more cooperative, healthier, and able to share much more knowledge with us." The woman with the folder leaned forward aggressively. "Dr. Thompson, you're not in a position to make demands. You work for us, and you'll follow our instructions." Alex pulled out a thick envelope from his jacket pocket and placed it on the table. "Actually, I think I am in a position to make demands, and I have proof that my way is better for everyone." Director Wilson stared at the envelope suspiciously. "What's in there?" "Information," Alex said calmly. "Over the past 6 months, Zara and Lyra have already shared some of their knowledge with me. I've been documenting everything they've taught me about clean energy technology." General Hayes sat up straighter. "What kind of energy technology?" Blix opened the envelope and spread out several pages of notes and diagrams. "They showed me how to create power sources that could replace all fossil fuels on Earth. No pollution. Unlimited energy and technology that could solve climate change within 10 years. The officials around the table leaned forward to look at the papers. Alex could see their eyes getting wider as they realized what they were looking at. "This is impossible," whispered one of the scientists. "These energy calculations are decades ahead of anything we have. It's not impossible." Alex said, "It's just advanced. This is only a small part of what they know. They've told me about medical treatments that could cure diseases we thought were incurable. Technology that could help us explore space safely. Solutions to problems we haven't even discovered yet." Director Wilson grabbed one of the papers. "Why didn't you share this information with us before?" "Because Zara and Lyra asked me not to," Alex replied honestly. "They wanted to make sure humans were ready for this kind of knowledge. They've seen other civilizations destroy themselves with advanced technology they weren't prepared for." The room buzzed with quiet conversations as the officials discussed what they had just learned. Alex could see that his gamble was working. The promise of advanced technology was too tempting for them to ignore. "Let me understand this correctly," General Hayes said finally. "You're saying the aliens will share more knowledge if we keep them together?" "Much more," Alex confirmed. "But only if they trust us. and they'll never trust us if we break their sacred bond and treat them like prisoners. The woman with the folder looked angry. And if we refuse your proposal, what happens to this energy technology? Alex took a deep breath. This was the most dangerous part of his plan. Then I keep it to myself. I won't share any more information, and I'll recommend that Zara and Lyra stop cooperating with all human research. You're threatening us. But Director Wilson's voice was dangerously quiet. I'm protecting my friends, Alex said simply. And I'm trying to protect humanity from making a terrible mistake. For the next hour, the officials argued among themselves while Alex sat quietly. He could hear heated discussions about security risks, research benefits, and political complications. Some people wanted to accept his proposal, while others thought he was being rebellious and dangerous. Finally, Director Wilson called for silence. Alex, your proposal creates significant security concerns. How do we know the aliens won't try to escape or contact their home planet? They won't, Alex said confidently. They've already told me that their rescue ship won't arrive for several years. Until then, they want to help humanity prepare for eventual contact with their civilization. And you trust them completely? General Hayes asked. Alex thought about all the conversations he'd had with Zara and Lyra over the past months. Their kindness, their wisdom, their genuine desire to help. Yes, I do. They've had many opportunities to hurt us or escape, but they've chosen to stay and help instead. The officials took a break to discuss Alex's proposal privately. While they were gone, Alex sat alone in the conference room, wondering if he had just destroyed his career and possibly put Zara and Lyra in even more danger. When the officials returned, Director Wilson looked tired and frustrated. We're prepared to consider a modified version of your proposal, Alex, but there will be conditions. What kind of conditions? Alex asked carefully. We'll be moved to a new international research facility with oversight from multiple countries, not just our government. There will be constant security monitoring, and you'll be required to share all information the aliens give you immediately. Alex felt relief flooding through his body. It wasn't perfect, but it was so much better than separating his friends. And Zara and Lyra stay together? They stay together, General Hayes confirmed. But if they become uncooperative or dangerous, the deal is off. They won't be, Alex promised. You'll see that cooperation works better than force. As Alex left the meeting, he felt like he had just climbed a mountain. The hardest part was over, but he knew that bigger challenges were coming. He had bought time and safety for Zara and Lyra, but now he had to prove that his way would really work. When he returned to the lab, Zara and Lyra were waiting for him with worried expressions. It is done? Zara asked gently. The first time in days? We're staying together. All three of us. Lyra's face lit up with joy. You chose both of us? I couldn't do anything else, Alex said simply. Some choices aren't really choices at all. 6 months later, Alex stood in front of a beautiful new research facility built on neutral territory in Switzerland. The building was designed with input from Zara and Lyra, combining human architecture with alien technology. Solar panels that the aliens had helped design covered the roof, producing more energy than the entire facility could use. The negotiations to create this place had taken weeks. Representatives from 12 different countries had argued about funding, security, and control. But in the end, everyone agreed that keeping Zara and Lyra happy was worth the compromise. Alex's new title was Director of Interplanetary Relations. Though he still thought of himself as simply a friend to two remarkable beings, the facility housed 30 scientists from around the world, all working together to learn from humanity's first alien visitors. The morning routine had become comfortable and familiar. Alex would arrive at 7 o'clock and meet Zara and Lyra. In the main laboratory, they would share breakfast together while planning the day's research activities. It felt more like working with colleagues than studying alien subjects. Good morning, Alex, Zara greeted him as he entered the lab. She was examining a plant sample through a microscope, her silver hair catching the morning light streaming through the windows. We have made progress with the medical research, Lyra added excitedly. She was working at a computer, analyzing data from their latest experiments. The treatment for diabetes is almost ready for human testing. Alex felt a surge of pride and amazement. In just 6 months, working together, they had achieved more medical breakthroughs than human scientists had made in decades.
The secret
Was cooperation instead of domination. The chain that connected Zara and Lyra had changed significantly since they arrived at the new facility. As their health improved and their trust in humanity grew, the chain had become lighter and more flexible. It no longer limited their movements or abilities as much as before. Dr. Rachel Kim would become Alex's assistant director, entered the lab carrying a stack of reports. Alex, the energy prototype is working perfectly. The test facility in Germany is producing clean power for an entire city using Zara and Lyra's design. This was exactly what Alex had hoped for. Instead of trying to steal alien technology, humans were learning to work with their new friends. The results were better than anyone had imagined. But the success came with a price. Alex's life was no longer private. Government security agents followed him everywhere. Porters constantly tried to get interviews. Some people called him a hero for making first contact work, while others accused him of being too trusting of aliens. The criticism hurt sometimes, especially when it came from other scientists who thought he was being naive. Former colleagues would send him messages questioning his methods and warning him about the dangers of alien influence. Alex's family relationships had also become complicated. His parents were proud, but worried about his safety. His sister had stopped speaking to him after reading conspiracy theories online about aliens controlling human minds. The isolation was the hardest part of his new life. One evening, as Alex sat alone in his office reviewing research reports, Zara knocked gently on his door. "May we join you?" she asked. Lyra stood beside her, both looking concerned. "Of course," Alex said, gesturing to the chairs across from his desk. "What's on your minds?" "We are worried about you," Lyra said directly. "You seem sad lately. Are you regretting your decision to help us?" Alex was surprised by how perceptive they were. "I'm not regretting anything. Working with you two has been the most rewarding experience of my life. I just miss some things about my old life." Zara nodded understandingly. "You have sacrificed much for our friendship. Your people do not all appreciate what you have done. Some of them think I made the wrong choice," Alex admitted. "They believe I should have followed orders and separated you." "And what do you believe?" Lyra asked gently. Alex thought carefully before answering. "I believe that some things are more important than following orders. Friendship, respect, doing what's right. These matter more than politics or career advancement." The three friends sat quietly for a moment, comfortable in each other's presence. Finally, Zara spoke again. "On our world, there's a saying, the path of wisdom is often lonely, but it always leads to light. You chose the path of wisdom, Alex. The loneliness will pass, but the light will remain forever." Over the following months, Alex began to see that Zara was right. Slowly, public opinion started changing as the benefits of cooperation became obvious. The clean energy technology was reducing pollution worldwide. New medical treatments were saving lives. Agricultural improvements were helping feed hungry populations. More importantly, other countries began reporting their own discoveries of ancient alien artifacts. Each time, they contacted Alex's facility for advice on how to proceed. The model of respectful cooperation was spreading around the world. The biggest change came when Zara and Lyra received their first communication from their home planet. A rescue ship was finally on its way, but it wouldn't arrive for another 3 years. Instead of being upset about the delay, the two aliens seemed relieved. "We are not finished with our work here," Lyra explained to Alex. "There is still much to teach and much to learn." "Besides," Zara added with a smile, "we have grown fond of this place and of our human friends." Alex realized that his life had become something he never could have imagined. He was no longer just a scientist studying alien life. He was a bridge between two completely different civilizations. The responsibility was enormous, but it was also incredibly meaningful. The research facility had become a symbol of hope for peaceful contact between humans and aliens. Visitors from around the world came to see proof that cooperation was possible. Children wrote letters asking about life on other planets. Scientists shared their discoveries freely instead of keeping them secret. 1 year after the facility opened, Alex stood in the same spot where he had first seen the building. But now, instead of looking at an empty construction site, he saw a thriving center of learning and friendship. Zara and Lyra joined him outside, all three watching the sunset over the Swiss mountains. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I had chosen differently that day?" Alex asked. "No," Lyra said simply. "You could not have chosen differently. Your heart would not have allowed it." Zara nodded in agreement. "Some people are born to build bridges, Alex. You were always meant to bring our peoples together." As the stars appeared in the darkening sky, Alex thought about the future. A few years more aliens would arrive from Kithra. Humanity would face its next great test of how to treat visitors from other worlds. But Alex was no longer worried about that future. He had learned that the most important decisions in life aren't about following rules or pleasing others. About following your heart and doing what you know is right, even when it's difficult. Standing there with his alien friends, watching the stars they had come from, Alex knew he had made the right choice. He had chosen both, and in doing so, he had chosen hope for all humanity.